Well, it's official. I have officially reached the age where I look fondly back on the good old days. I was born in 1979. I am going to be turning 46 in March. I grew up through the 90s and I loved it. I loved that era. I love the era of Seinfeld and, Saturday Night Live with Adam Sandler and David Spade and Chris Farley. I loved the music, Alanis Morissette, Stone Temple Pilots, Pearl Jam, all of that. I was just in my element. And of course, I think most of us can say that when it comes to our teenage years, most of us can look fondly back on at least the era that we grew up in those developmental times and yearn for them and have a little bit of nostalgia. And it's interesting that nostalgia is something that I think comes to us when times are a little rocky. We look fondly back on the good old days, and I've been really sitting with the music from that time, the movies from that time, escaping in that way that I always like to talk about vitamin joy, getting joy intentionally to compensate for the turmoil of the world around us. Perhaps that comes into the Tarot Snapshot today. And that's what I'm here to share with you, the Tarot Snapshot. This is a 3-card reading that I try to do once a week. It shows us where we're collectively at in this moment. It shows us what vexes and perplexes us, and it shows us what heals and reveals. So where we're at, what's our challenge, what's our guidance. I'm using the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck, the Luna edition by artist Matt Hughes, and this is a deck that I associate with the divine feminine or goddess energy, and one of the reasons why I'm tattooed with roses in that way. So as I'm shuffling, we set the intention that this is for anybody that stumbles across this video, and I hope that I lend some sort of guidance or clarity for anybody that could use it in this moment. I also want to thank you for being here on any of these social media online platforms. I want to thank you for the energy that you bring, the conversations and the comments that you share. I love hearing your insight, your feedback. I love the conversations that we have. So let's dive into it and see where we're all collectively at. The card that represents us in this moment right now, the Nine of Pentacles. Okay. This is a card of strength and individuality. So let's talk about this card with a loaded word. To me, this is the card of the Virgin. Now, the word virgin, before it was co-opted by the patriarchy to mean sexual purity, happens to mean a woman whole unto herself. Wouldn't need a partner, wouldn't need a family, wouldn't necessarily need a career. She's independent, she's self-sustaining. She doesn't need something to define her. She's not codependent. Perhaps she's interdependent, but she's not codependent in any way. I think that we strive for this. May I ask you how unshakable you are when it comes to your convictions? So I consider this the Cher card, like Sonny and Cher, the artist Cher. There's a really famous interview with her when she's talking about when she was younger. Her mom said, "Honey, when you grow up, make sure you marry a rich man." And she says to her mom, "Mom, I am a rich man." And I love that energy. I love that streak of independence and strength. There is also the tendency for this card to be imbalanced. And, you can think of sort of diva energy, people who think they're better than others. They don't need anybody, but they're better than others. Let's not get to that place, but let's strive for a sense of independence and individuality. And this is what I'm saying when it comes to how unshakable you are. Let's use politics for a moment. So let's just dive right into it. Let's say that you're a lover of the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. Let's say that you pound the drum for a particular presidential candidate. So a few months ago, it would have been Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. We know where that ended up. But whether you're a fan and supporter of Kamala Harris or Donald Trump, let's determine how unshakable you are. If somebody were to come up to you or comment on a social media post and say, "Donald Trump's an idiot," or Kamala Harris is a fraud, or whatever, you know. If you are invested in a particular person and somebody comes along and talks crap about it, what's your emotional reaction? You really should touch base with that. Now, I have particular beliefs, political beliefs, spiritual beliefs, and I hold those beliefs so dearly that if somebody were to come to me and say, well, I think that's a bunch of crap, and I'm going to say, well, okay, well, that's your opinion. For instance, we can see this statue of the Archangel Michael over my shoulder. Now, I really connect with this angelic being, but I also see this angelic being as the Norse god Thor and the Greek and Roman god Apollo, divine being of a weapon and light and solar energy. I'm not going to really go into that. But if somebody came to me and said, well, you're stupid for believing that, I'm going to just look at them plainly. Like, what does your opinion have to do with anything that I believe? And I'm going to take that and I'm going to invite you to consider that. How independent are you? How unshakable are you? How firm are you in your beliefs and your truths that other people around you can't affect them? I'm there, baby. I'm there, and I would want that for you. I am not going to be so invested in a person or a political figure or movement where other people would decry it or talk smack about it, and I'm not going to absolutely let other people's opinions shake me. I love being there, and I would encourage you to be there as well. But let's take a look at what vexes and perplexes us. The Four of Swords. So this is a card that speaks to rest. We need to rest ourselves before we wreck ourselves. So this is also, silence, contemplation, what have you. This is a card of the mind. Okay, so I'm going to encourage you to do something. I host a weekly podcast. You can go back to episode 9 where a bunch of dads came through and their energy was very much keep calm and carry on. We can see how things are moving very quickly. I mean, they take the TikTok ban and talk about that. And TikTok went down for 12 hours and people were just freaking out. And it went back up. Recently, this past week, Donald Trump threatened to get rid of all sorts of funding for programs in the United States. People were losing their mind. A day later, nothing came of it. And I'm not saying don't have any emotional reaction. I'm saying make sure that you're using your mind and your emotions with skill. And the path in front of us is going to be really difficult to walk if we freak out at everything that falls across our lap, political or personal. There is a sense of composure, I think, that is necessary in tumultuous times to know the difference between responding and reacting. So many of us are reacting. And I'm telling you what, having those awful emotional reactions every time something awful or wild happens is really going to affect your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being. So make sure that you find stillness. Make sure that you become unshakable in your core. Now, the card that heals and reveals is the Tower. All right. And I love this card. A lot of people in tarot don't like this card. The Tower is the destruction of those things that should not have been built in the first place. I understand that the two energies of the world that kind of propel the universe and reality forward are chaos and order. So when things fall apart, perhaps they shouldn't have been built in the first place, or perhaps we look at things falling apart or being tumultuous in a way that it provides an opportunity for new growth. That's how I'm getting through. I'm looking at the wildness around us. I'm believing in the perseverance of the human spirit in the face of adversity. And I look at the challenges in front of us in a lens or through a lens of perhaps this will bring a balance in a way that, might be a rocky road getting there. But if things are particularly out of balance, sometimes finding balance can be really tumultuous for us. During times of tumultuousness, let's make sure that we're being firm with our mind, knowing the difference between responding and reacting. You can't control the things that happen around you, but you can control how you react to them. And knowing how to react, knowing how to stay calm in the face of tumultuousness and turmoil is key to getting through those times in a healthy, balanced way. So I'm going to give that to you. Remember to be unshakable. Remember to, keep your mind still and calm as best you can. And understand that things might be breaking down in a way that hopefully they can be rebuilt in a better, more healthy way that benefits everybody. To have a sense of optimism even in the face of chaos, I think is skillful. So take that, run with it, and hopefully, things might not be as bad as a lot of people are feeling. That's what I'm hoping, and I'm crossing my fingers in that regard. So, to learn more about me, to schedule a reading, please find me online at joshsimons.com. And until the end of February, I am offering on my website love readings, 4 different love readings for 4 different circumstances. So go ahead, dive in, see what's on there, and sign up. They're only here until February 28th. All my love to you. Thank you again. And I'll see you next time.